I'll tell you this. I was talking with Jackie Slater last week. You guys know he was on with us. By the way, Super Chats will be read here at the end of this segment. And then I had a chance to get Eric. And by the way, Eric Dickerson will be on with us next week. His first 2 seasons, 1880, his first year, then he went for 2105. I didn't think anybody could ever touch something like that, 2105, ever again. I'm seeing something this year. And by the way, Brian Westbrook is absolutely one of my favorite running backs, and I'll tell you why. Could block, pass catch. This guy were in the NFL today. You know what Westbrook would be making? You see what McCaffrey – I'm probably pissing him off right now because you know what McCaffrey's a $20 million guy. Brian Westbrook is probably sitting there going, damn, Mom. Without further ado, truly one of the great Eagles of all time, Brian Westbrook joins us here. And hey, Brian, man, I hated to do that, bring me in like that. But, hey, man, you in today's NFL, every time I watch McCaffrey, I see you and I'm like, God, man, Westbrook did that back then, man. He did that now. Are you glad to see the evolution of the running back start to come back again, especially with a lot of teams and especially what's going on in Philly?
Well, I love seeing the running back come back because what we're seeing, and really the advantage that I had was that defenses were playing 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers, and now I can get in space against a linebacker or a safety and work my magic. So then what defenses started to do, and they're really doing it still now, is they put 4 or 5 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and then the nickel, right? And so now they kind of stop that. And so even they're going to a position where you're saying 4 down linemen, 2 cornerbacks or a nickel safety type of person, and they're saying, we're going to stop the pass. We're going to devalue the running back financially, and we're going to stop the pass. And now teams are like, listen, we have a horse back here. The Philadelphia Eagles have a horse back here that can carry the load. And here's the funny thing about Saquon, and this is just the beauty of what he's been able to do really since college. He has the size, big, 230 pounds, to run you over, to run power football if he wants. He has a quickness to make you miss and explosiveness to make you miss in a hole. He also has the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. He does a little bit differently than I did, but he has the ability to do that, catch the ball very well. We've seen him catch touchdowns on tough to catch over the shoulder throws. Lastly, what I think I've been surprised by the most, and maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, but he has breakaway speed just to pull away from people in the open field. And as I watch it, I'm like, well, hold on. How is this even coming close to happening? Because if I'm a defense, I'm saying I'm going to make Jalen Hurts beat us. And we're going to put 8 people in the box and we're going to make him throw the accurate throws all game long. The one person that can't beat us is Saquon Barkley. And teams actually have been trying to do that. However, the offensive line has been dominant. The tight ends have been great blockers. The wide receivers have been great blockers. And I'll tell you this about A.J. Brown. You know, I played with some really good receivers, including T.O. T.O., he blocked when he had time, when things were, things were working out. But A.J. Brown, every single play is downfield intentionally blocking. And I say intentionally blocking because in order for a receiver, they're in their mind, their job is to only catch passes. You have to be intentional. You have to actually want the running back to have a home run opportunity, which Saquon obviously does. A.J. Brown is intentionally blocking down the field, and it's truly a thing of beauty to watch. I watched his offensive line, Dan, and I had a really good offensive line. We weren't focused on running the football. We were a pass offense. But Saquon's not getting hit until he's 4 or 5 yards down the field. Now, I mean, that makes things a lot easier for him, and he's continued to make these big plays. But, oh, my goodness, if I had the luxury of getting 4 or 5 yards downfield before getting touched and then getting tackled by DBs, I mean, that is a thing of beauty, and Saquon has just done a great job of it.
How about this too, Brian? I mean, I'm surprised because when he was in New York, I said this about him. He never lived up to that second overall pick. He just never did. And now what I'm watching this year, your point is right on. Becton's blowing guys off the line of scrimmage, and he's not getting touched 3-4 yards into the line of scrimmage. And like you say, safeties are hitting him. But again, not to dismiss anything that he's doing here with that, But to me, this is such an indictment on New York on not building a team around that guy. Because I said this, Brian, if that guy was drafted by the Eagles and he started his career, he's probably going to Canton. You can't be that much. Are you surprised with his ability in what you're seeing this year? Or again, is it just the perfect matchup? The O-line, you mentioned AJ. AJ had to have learned that blocking for Henry in Tennessee, because again, he knew the importance of getting Henry free when Henry was in his prime in Tennessee. So like you said, it just looks like everything is playing out perfectly for Barkley here because he's got all the ingredients around him. Is that fair?
Well, I think it's more than fair. I think when you look at this offense, everything is playing out perfect for everyone. The reason why AJ blocks is because he knows as soon as they put 8 people in the box, that quick slant that nobody can stop, he's going to be wide open on that. The reason why the offensive line continues just to maul people, because that's just what they do. Jeff Stoutland teaches that they continue to find ways. When you talk about Jaylen, he hands the ball off with pride, because now the same thing with AJ. Now I don't have to worry about double teams on the outside with AJ, double teams on Dallas Goedert. When I actually want to throw the ball down the field, I'm throwing to wide open. The windows that he's throwing through are huge, all predicated on the ability to run the football. So am I surprised that Saquon is doing this? Not really, because I thought he had talent, especially earlier on in his career. Then you talk about some injuries, you talk about just the team not being very good. That always catches up with players. Now we're seeing what Saquon was at Penn State. Now we're seeing what Saquon was early in his career with a much better supporting cast. And because of all these things, this offense looks almost unstoppable, except Dan, in the first quarter. They can't figure out anything in the first quarter, but they figure it out as the game goes on, and they wear people down, and that's important to know.
How about this, Brian? I'm one of the critics here with this. They're number 1 in rushing. And by the way, there's no doubt that Kellen Moore has been brought in to do one thing, and that was improve the passing game. They're 28th. Since the bye, they're asking them to do a lot less in the passing game. They're even, if you know, and I know you noticed, they're also installing the RPOs, it looks like, again. They're running the RPOs now at a 22% rate, more than any team in the league. So that kind of resembles a little bit what they did in 2022. And what people don't realize about the RPO, hey, you can have wide receivers wide open. But again, it comes down to the quarterback making decisions. Can you win a Super Bowl, in your opinion, when you have an offensive passing game? It's down with Carolina right now. And I get it. No one has stopped it, Brian. Okay. And they're playing great on the other side, which limits the 3 and outs on offense because they get 3 and outs. Can they win a Super Bowl with not a top flight passing offense?
If we had the same defense from last year, absolutely not. Because our defense this year, the linebacker play is, I'm talking about, significantly improved over the last 10 years in Philadelphia. The defensive line play, they're getting pressure where I didn't think that Josh Sweat would ever get pressure. He's doing a great job of it. You see the young guys and the Georgia boys from in the middle, they're doing a great job of getting pressure, stopping the run. So when you talk about being 28th in the past, no, that doesn't work typically. However, if you have a defense that is stopping the run, stopping other teams, holding other teams at a high-flying offense to 9 points, especially in the first half, that allows your offense some time to get going. That allows you to be bad in the first quarter and then be 28th in passing, because you know that eventually over the course of a game, you have a running game that's just going to beat you down, and the end of the third quarter and the fourth quarter, now you're talking about Saquon running through holes that you can drive a Mack truck through. So it's a different type of philosophy. We're not saying that Jalen Hurts has to be Patrick Mahomes right here. What we're saying is that our defense has to be great, and they've been great. We're saying that our offensive line has to maul people from the beginning of the game until the end, especially the third and fourth quarter. They will wear down a team. But our offense is playing to our defense. That's what we're seeing here. And the one thing that we have to talk about, we're maybe only 28th in passing. I'm 100% fine with that. We're not turning the ball over. Where this team fails at is when Jalen Hurts tries to throw the ball all across the field and we turn the ball over. Then our defense is playing on short fields. Then, we run into all types of opposition and problems. We're not turning the ball over. We're running the ball very well, and our defense is playing lights out. That's a great equation to win the Super Bowl. So can we win it? Absolutely. Can we make it there? Absolutely. All those things have to continue to work. Now, here's if you're one of these guys that will say, okay, well, what's the downside to this? Well, what if a defense can stop the run? What if our defense for some reason doesn't come to play one day? Instead of giving up 9 points in the first half, they give up 21 and we only scored 3. Now Jalen has to be able to throw the ball successfully. Now he has to be in the position where he can be successful getting the ball to AJ, Devontae when he becomes healthy, Dallas Goedert, and getting Saquon involved. That's going to be the big question for this team. We haven't faced a team that has really put us in that position much of this season. And so until that happens, if it's not broke, there's no need to fix anything. I would continue doing exactly what we're doing. Offense playing to the defense playing to the offense, and special teams being solid. That's the equation to win a lot of football games.
Brian, for you, when you're in a zone and you're having one of those years and it just every week, and I know when I talked to certain players that were elite guys, they couldn't wait for Sunday because they knew that they were just in one of those zones. And it was one of those years where you're just going to line it up and go play 60 and no one can stop you. Yeah. And you probably have been in that field and mode and that feeling. It looks like Barkley's in that kind of zone right now where he's just looking forward to getting there to Sundays. What's that like? And tell the folks because some years you have injuries that kind of takes you off a little bit. You're wobbling around. It's a grind for you. Some years you just can't wait to show up to the stadium on Sundays. That's kind of where he is now. Is that what you're feeling with him too? And what's that feel like?
There's no doubt that he is in a zone that no matter what a defense does, they can't stop you. I don't care if they put 8 men in the box. I'll make 2 men miss and then go 25, go 30, go 60 yards for a touchdown. Saquon has that ability. I think back to some of my years in 2007 was one of those years for me. I think maybe I had 2,100 all-purpose yards. It was one of those years where I was like, they can draw and diagram and we're going to stop Westbrook. But Andy Reid was great at putting me in space. And then it was just one of those natural things. It wasn't something that you could put on film. I mean, it wasn't something that you can draw up on paper. It was just something that happens when you get the ball in your hands. And it's natural. It was natural for me. I see it's much more natural for Saquon. He's just doing a great job of it, of making people miss, making people look foolish in the hole. Even when the offensive line, who rarely ever do this, but even when they miss a block, they don't get up to the linebacker. He makes the linebacker look crazy. And then he takes it to the safety to the next level and sometimes to the end zone. And so it's scary because as a player, you're walking on the field and you have complete confidence. There's no questions. There's no, I wonder if they're going to do this. I wonder if they're going to do that. It's when they do this, it doesn't really matter. I have the answers to the test already. I don't care what the teacher asks. I already have the answers. And now all I have to do is go take the test. That's the point where Saquon is at right now. And, for me, as I look at things for this team, health always is a determining factor. Can you make it to the Super Bowl? Are you prepared? I think they will be prepared. Are you continuing to make sure that you're up for every game, right? It's easy to go down this stretch and look at these teams that they have to play, Washington and the Giants and Dallas, and say, today's I don't want to work today, right? It's easy to say that because some of these teams aren't the best. And they have an opportunity to do something special this year. So you have to be on that edge, that tipping point for an entire season. And they have to do that for the rest of this year as well.
Merrill Reese brought something up yesterday, and I couldn't wait to ask you this. Last game of the year, you've wrapped up home field. Everything is in the book. You're 140 away from 2105.
Mm-hmm.
You get an opportunity to make historic history in the NFL. And Brian, you know this. Hey, man, very few times you get a chance to make history in the NFL. It's one thing, of course, the smart thing is rest the kid, get him ready for the divisional round. But if you're there near that old line, you've grinded all year. It's not just about you, Brian. It's about the unit on what you guys have accomplished. What would Brian Westbrook do if he was 120 yards shy in the final game of the season to break Dickerson's 2105, what would you do?
Who's their last game against?
I think it's New York.
Mow them down. That's what I would do. I would mow them down. I would say offensive line, put your big boy pads on. This first half, we're going to go out there, and the one thing that we're going to do is hand the ball off. We're going to make them play honest. I mean, we're not going to just allow them to stack the box and try to stop the run, which they will do because they don't want that to happen on their watch. But our job and your job this week is to go out there and mow them down and do not allow them to stop what we've built. This is special not only for Saquon, the running back. It's special for Kellen Moore, who's looking for a job opportunity, if we're being completely honest. It's special for Nick Sirianni. It's special for that offensive line. It's special for everyone on that football team for this to continue to happen. And think about this. And defenses rarely ever think about why is this offensive thing special to them. This is special for the defense too. You guys have done a great job of getting the ball back to us time after time after time, 3 and out after 3 and out, and gives me our offense an opportunity to run the ball down the throat. Guess what? We're gonna take advantage of this opportunity. He's been healthy all year. I know we can go through the attitude and thought process of we have to protect him against. No, we're gonna go mow him down. We're gonna do what we've been doing. The best way to keep him healthy is allow him to go out there and do what he's been doing. And Dan, I said this earlier, and I don't know that everyone actually realizes it. It's a big difference when you're being tackled by the defensive linemen and linebackers versus the DBs and some of the linebackers. There's a huge difference. I just remember there were times where, Andy just got in the pass happy mood, and I would have 8 to 10 carries, but I would have 7 or 8 catches. In those games, after the game, I was ready to go play again because I felt healthy, because the contact from someone that's 175 pounds, obviously, is hugely different than getting beat up by guys that are 330. It's a big difference. So I think Saquon has been relatively healthy, knocking on wood. I hope that he continues that. But if he has an opportunity at the end of the season, you go out there and you make it work for him, because this is a special moment.
And against his former team, the Giants, you would want him to do that too. Couple last ones here for you, Brian. I mean, Brian, did you put your hand up for special teams? Was that something that you wanted to do and something that you wanted the advantage of? That's something from our time where Lawrence Taylor used to line up on the kickoff team. I mean, you'd look across the Giants, all of a sudden you'd see Harry Carson, Carl Banks, and there's Lawrence Taylor on the kickoff team.
Yeah.
They don't do that stuff any longer anymore, but they used to do all that. And can you imagine Barkley on special teams? I know a lot of guys don't do that today, but did you put your hand up for that? And did you embrace that?
I'll say this. If I saw LT and all those other guys on doggone special teams, I went off of that. I went off of that kickoff return team right there. Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but when Saquon was in college, I mean, he was a special return. I mean, no matter what he does, when the ball in his hands, he's going to be special. So we obviously we're not going to put him back there, but he's special. For me, I had to play special teams. When I came into the league, we had Deuce Staley, Brian Mitchell. We just went and got Dorsey Levens. We already had Correll Buckhalter, who was coming off a great rookie year. We had Rod Smart, he hate me. And I was behind all those guys. So I had to go play special teams. I had to run down on kicks. I had to block on punt return. On the punt team, I was the personal protector when Brian Mitchell wasn't playing. I mean, I had to do all those things because that's what you do when you're young. And that's what you do when you just want to get on the field. Because offensively, I wasn't going to see the field as much as I wanted to play. So you have to put your hand up and say, Coach, I'm fast. I can kind of tackle, not really, but I can try to get in someone's way. I can block people, and I'll just be aggressive. I'll be in the space, and I'll do whatever I can to help this team win. And that's part of being a special teams guy, being able to do, willing and able to do whatever this team needs to be able to win.
Terrell Davis told me, he goes, I was in Japan and I was on special teams. They weren't even sure they were going to keep me. I ran down the field, made a tackle, and Mike Shanahan kept me. And then, like you said, man, you're doing anything back then to make the roster at the time because you're kind of deep like that when you're naming those names. I mean, Terrell Davis says the same thing, man. I mean, you got to show that you're versatile and being able to do those things to make a club. Jerome Brown was my teammate at the University of Miami. I'm watching this kid, Jaylen Carter, and I made the comparisons. And I said on draft day, Brian, I said, I see the intangibles, quick hands, quick feet, great hands, all that too. Clint Hurt is a former Miami Hurricane who I helped recruit. He's the D-line coach, and we talk extensively all the time about him. You've seen some of the greats, Sapp, John Randall. You've played against some of those guys. Do you see some of those same intangibles here with Jaylen Carter?
I think you mentioned it. Hands. I think of hands. I think of Warren Sapp. I
Yep.
think of John Randall. I think of those guys. I also think of Fletcher Cox, who was a little bit feel like he was a little bit bigger, but he used his hands very well. He has body control. He has the ability to start one way and get an offensive lineman who is less athletic, leaning, and use his hands to go the other way. And it always seems, because he sets it up so well, that he's falling into a tackle. And it's a thing of beauty to watch, because when you watch it as an offensive player, I'm saying, okay, I have to be able to set my offensive lineman up against a guy like him. So I want to start one way, and then as soon as he commits, I want to go the other way so that he can't be right. But he just does a great job of two gapping so fast that he can go left or right, whatever way that you don't want, that you want to go as a runner. He has the ability to get back in that gap because of his hands, because of his quickness, because of his feet. And now you're like, well, time out. We have to actually run away from him. We can't run that way. We can't run to the right side because he's over there. Jaylen Carter is over there. We have to go to the outside, to the left. We're going to try to double team him. And what he's continuously done is be double teamed. So offensively, what do you have to do? We have to throw the ball. Oh, and what happens when he throws the ball? Well, the last thing that you want offensively is pressure in the quarterback's face. He's in the quarterback's doggone face when you throw the ball. And so he has put himself in the conversation of one of the best young interior offensive linemen that this league has seen in a very long time. You remember Aaron Donald a couple
Yeah.
of years ago? Not the biggest guy. He was strong, but he was so quick. He was quick off the ball. And I don't know that Jaylen is as quick off the ball, but his first move and his secondary and third move are much better than anybody else that I've seen in the league in a very, very long time. And I love watching him play. And this is a great thing for interior guys. If you're going to get double teamed, that allows everyone else to be singled up. And now you're seeing guys like Josh Sweat singled up, making sacks. Jordan Davis making big plays. Everybody, across the board, everybody is benefiting because of his great play. And certainly he should get a lot more of the credit. But hey, listen, I mean, he is taking the brunt of the double teams because he's so good and still making plays. That's a thing of beauty, especially for a young player.
Finally here, tell me this. Is Andy Reid a better coach today, or is it Mahomes? What was he like when he was there? Because, again, I mean, Mahomes goes off script sometimes. He said it in the Super Bowl. There were play calls that he kind of audibled out of. And Andy, I mean, when you look at Andy Reid today, is that the Andy Reid that coached you when you were in Philadelphia, or is it the same guy with just maybe a different – I don't want to dismiss Donovan, but I'll say a different style of player that you had there in Kansas City? Is he the same coach?
I think that any coach that would say they're the same 15 years later wouldn't be a very good coach at all. That means you haven't changed anything in 15 years. Now, you may have some of the similar ideas. Andy Reid's going to have the shovel pass in that doggone offense. He's going to have the sprint right option in that offense. He's going to do a lot of the similar things. However, I don't even know who their running back is anymore. Pacheco, I mean, does he touch the ball? We don't need a running back. They have a tight end and guys on the outside. Most importantly, they have a quarterback, right? I believe that Andy is a better coach now because he's saying it's not necessarily about my offense. It's not about what I want. It's about, number 15 and making sure that he has what he needs. And if it's a different play, then it's a different play. And sometimes with age, with knowledge, with understanding, you have a better use of your discernment. Listen, it's not about me. It's about these guys on the field. And one thing, and he did it back in the day, Andy was great at saying, you know what Westbrook does good? He will block. That's okay. He will block. He don't want to, but he will. But if we could get him the ball in space, then he could be a problem. You know what Todd Pinkston does well? I don't need Todd Pinkston running a 5 and in across the middle. He's 6'3", 6'4", 150 pounds. That's not what he's going to do good. But what he could do good is go deep. And he led the league in deep passes for a very long time. He played to the strengths of the people that he has around him. And right now, he's playing to the best strength in football, which is Patrick Mahomes. So to me, is he a better coach? Is he the same coach? Absolutely not. Is he a better coach? I sure hope so. It certainly seems so, the way they continue to win games, and they're winning the close games. And I hate to say that sometimes you have to win those close games to win it all, but a win is a win. Of course, you want to win by 20 every single game, but after winning a couple of Super Bowls in a row, there will be some close games, and they're finding ways to win it. To me, that means something.
Let me sneak one in here on you with Nick Sirianni. Why? Half of Philly loves him, half of Philly hates him. Now, is that Philly, or is that just the position of being the head coach? Educate me here, because Angelo Cataldi comes on the show every Monday, and he can't stand him, okay? Yep. He can't stand him. There's guys that think now with this win percentage, and I always tell people, don't go by win percentages. You're trying to tell me you think Nick is better than Parcells? Parcells has got a 520 win percentage. That's not really what this is about. It's about titles. How do you look at Nick Sirianni?
The best part that we have had over this, 5, 6, 7 game stretch is that we have not put Nick Sirianni in a place where he has to make some of the bad decisions that he's made earlier in the season. And, I give credit to Vic Fangio for that. I give credit to Kellen Moore for that. Not that they're doing it intentionally, but they want both their units to play well. But Nick Sirianni has not had to make these crazy decisions going forward on fourth down because he's pressing the issue. He hasn't had to do that. And so he's kind of been out of the way. And being out of the way for a head coach is not a bad place to be. Now, Andy Reid is going to get the credit because this is Andy Reid's offense, and this is the way he thinks and the way they're the high flying, of course. But Nick Sirianni has said, you know what? It's not about me. I'm going to back up, allow these players to lead, Jalen Hurts to lead, allow A.J. Brown, Saquon, Lane, these guys up front, the guys on defense, Jaylen Carter and Kobe Dean and those guys in the secondary to lead. And because of that, it's about the players. It's not about me getting in the way as a coach. And to me, that's the ultimate respect that you can give the guys on the field by saying, I'm going to get out of the way so that you guys only have to focus on answering questions about football stuff and not about, well, why did Nick Sirianni go for it on fourth down? Well, guess what? We're not going to put you in that position because Saquon, we're going to hand the ball off to him and he's going to get the dog on first down, right? That's a thing of beauty. That's something that's special. And it takes a mature coach to be able to do that. I respect Nick Sirianni for being able to do that. Now, if he comes this next game and makes a crazy fourth down call, then, we have to talk about that too. And we have to go back to saying, okay, Nick, you got to make better decisions. But that's part of being a fan. That's part of being an analyst. But that's also wanting your team to win. I want my coach to put my team in the best position to win. And if it's going for it on fourth down, great. If you don't get it, then I have to talk bad about you. That's just part of me being a fan as well. And so it's a complicated thing. Nick Sirianni has gotten out of his own way, and I think that's a thing of beauty.
Okay, is it Appaloosa's Thoroughbreds that you – okay, so I don't look at you as a Western Trail guy. I have to think that you're more of a guy who's in the thoroughbred arena there. So, I mean, where are we here? Are you looking for show ponies? Or are you looking for money ponies? Which one is it right now? From what I'm hearing about you, I hear you like the ponies.
I do like the ponies. I tell you this, I have lost a lot of monies with thoroughbreds. And so I've learned my lesson very quickly. I've lost a lot of money with horses, period. I mean, I think when you talk about horses and you talk to people that know horses, you lose money. It's not a money-making thing unless you find a winner all of a sudden. But so we got out of the race horses early on. I'm talking about very, very early on, my first couple of years in horses. Now we do a sport called reining. So we breed, we train, we sell reining horses, which are really quarter horses, right? And so reining, there's a show on TV called Yellowstone that inside they have a little arena and guys run down and they slide their horses, their butt basically dragging on the ground. Their front feet are pawing, but their back legs are dragging. And then they do quick circles and around themselves. That's what our horses do. It's a beautiful sport. It's a Western sport. And so when you talk about trail rides, that's what me and my kids love to do. We don't love to really show. We do that because we like competing. But we allow the trainer to do that. We love trail riding. We love putting the horses in the trailer, going to the park, and spending the day at the park, riding around, watching the kids do their thing on the horses, watching them grow up into horses. And then one of the funny things during COVID, we were down in Maryland, and my wife took horse riding lessons, and my oldest took horse riding lessons. And for me to watch them fall in love with horses the same way that I fell in love 20 years ago was a truly a thing of beauty. An expensive thing of beauty because when your wife gets into horses, then you got to buy the saddle, then the matching helmet, and the pants, and my daughters are no. I have two girls too, and so they are just as bad as my wife. And so it's become truly expensive.
I'll tell you this, man. Down at Del Mar, I got kind of into where I dropped a couple bucks into a pony where you get kind of like a small share in it, right?
Mm-hmm,
and you're watching this thing, and you're like, finished second to last. He goes, well, not everybody's going to be a winner here, guy. You got to know. If you get a winner, you're going to be lucky. So I went, yeah, well, guess what? I'm not sure I'm in this. So if I just show up for the shrimp cocktails now.
just go and enjoy it. What my horse trainer used to tell me, and it used to drive me mad, he would say, you should just be happy that you're competing on this level. And I said, I don't even know what you're talking about. I came here to win. I spend money every single month for you to train this horse to win, not to just compete. So I had to get away from that trainer. We would never see eye to eye.
Hey, what are you working on? You doing anything right now? Are you working on? I know you had a project. The last time we talked, you were doing something as an author. You're doing anything right now because you're so busy all the time.
Yeah,
you're so active in retirement now. Is there anything you're doing right now?
I am. So I have a couple things that I have going on. Number one is the Brian Westbrook Foundation. That's my heart and soul. I pour into that. And our mission is to educate, empower, and provide access to opportunities for youth across the country. We are really focused on Maryland, DC, Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, that whole mid-Atlantic region. We have agricultural data analytics camps. We have STEAM camps. We have STEM camps. We have athletic data analytics camps. So many people are scared of the word data analytics. And I tell them all the time, if you're arguing who's better, LeBron versus Michael Jordan, then you understand data analytics. You're saying, well, Jordan has 6 championships. LeBron has this. He's a better shooter. You understand analytics. You're just not using it to your advantage. There's so many opportunities in data and analytics across the board. Every company that you look at, from Amazon to doggone Google, everybody's using data analytics. Learn how to use data analytics to your advantage. So we do that with our foundation. We have entrepreneurship programs. We have horsemanship programs as well. We're doing all those things. And Dan, before I have self-funded everything because it's important to me and I love these kids. Now we're starting the process where we're collecting donations. So anyone that is interested in what we're doing, please go to the BrianWestbrookFoundation.com. You can also email us at info@BrianWestbrookFoundation.com. We always are looking for help. We're also looking for donations, and we're also looking for more kids to be able to help. That's our true passion. The other thing that I'm doing, Dan, is the Westbrook Project Solutions. And so that's an engineering staffing company, still in the Mid-Atlantic area. We are helping either universities, healthcare systems. If you need a project manager, a construction manager, an inspector, QA, QC people, if you need any staffing help, we can help you staff your business. And so we're supplying staffs, individuals to help all different types of industries. All you have to do is give us a call. You can go to WestbrookProjectSolutions.com. And send us an email. We can absolutely help anything that you need. We're super excited about both businesses.
Absolutely. And we will make sure we promote them. And by the way, I might want to send Sirianni's coaching staff, the offensive coaching staff, with those first 25 plays with those analytics that aren't working in the first quarter because they need to apply that.
Just whatever they're doing in those first 15, just throw it away. It's not working. I will try something different. And, it's weird because I've tried to give them a little bit of grace. I'm like, well, maybe they're setting something up for later. And truthfully speaking, if you believe that, which, I say that tongue in cheek, it has worked. So, I don't know what the heck is going on. I believe that their offense is one that they will wear you down.
Yep.
And they've done that the last few games. And so that's really good to see.
Thank you, Brian, so much for your valuable time, man. We'll make sure we promote all of those foundations, and we so appreciate you doing this, man. I mean, truly one of the greatest Eagles of all time, one of my favorites of all time. I'm sorry, Jerome's my boy, so he's number one. You're number two, so I'm going to go. And Reggie's number three. Reggie, I love them very much. God rest both their souls. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it, and God bless you and your family.
Anytime. Thanks so much, Dan. Take care.
You got it. The great Brian Westbrook joins us. That was really awesome. Don't forget, too, to make sure you check out all of those foundations. And, guys, really cool. Thank you so much. Hit the like button. By the way, Big Sills, JAKIB Sports, and our friends at BetUS, we have teamed up with them throughout this football season, and we were imploring you to go to the website at our friends at BetUS. The 150 YouTube. That's right. 150 YouTube. There you get an opportunity to have a signing bonus up to $2K. Your second and third or 125% deposits up to $2K. 200% on your signing bonus up to $2K. And crypto as well. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Fastest payouts in the business. 24/7 personalized service, 365 days of the year. Live wagering on all major games. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. And do me a favor, tell them Big Sil sent you.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.